agradecer todas nuestras bendiciones y celebrar nuestros valores comunes. Mañana celebramos con nuestras familias más inmediatas, pero hoy celebramos con la familia AmCham más extendida. Y me gustaría agradecerles a todos por hacer de este un año de muchos logros. Gracias a nuestro presidente y junta directiva por su liderazgo, sabiduría y tiempo valioso. A los miembros de nuestros comités de trabajo que brindan la experiencia y el músculo para llevar a cabo nuestro plan de trabajo, gracias. A la embajadora, quien desde el primer día ha sido on our side, un defensor enérgico y efectivo de los intereses comerciales de los Estados Unidos e igual importante abogando para el Estado de Derecho y un clima de negocios más transparente. Para todo el equipo de la Embajada de los Estados Unidos, gracias. Ustedes son realmente the best and the brightest. Y su profesionalismo y compromiso con los valores centrales de los Estados Unidos son realmente apreciados. A nuestra creciente membresía de AmCham, gracias por el apoyo y su participación. Juntos podemos construir una mañana mejor. Y por supuesto, gracias al increíble personal de AmCham, quienes están trabajando tan duro para llevar a cabo nuestra propuesta de valor, conectar a nuestros miembros con oportunidades y construir un clima comercial más abierto y más transparente. Pónganse a pie y ser notado. Ok. De verdad, gracias. Y ahora, last but certainly not least, el Consejo de Directores de la Cámara Americana de Comercio tiene el honor de agradecer y exaltar como miembro honorífico y emérito a José Vitienes Colubi, quien fue presidente de nuestra institución en el periodo de 1990 a 1992. There he is. José Vitienes Colubi, nacido el 20 de abril de 1944 en la ciudad de Santo Domingo, es un prestigioso empresario dominicano con títulos académicos del más alto nivel, como doctor honoris causa en humanidades, otorgado por la Pontificia Universidad Católica Madre y Maestra, además de un Master in Business Administration en Columbia University en 1968. Ha recibido condecoraciones otorgadas por Su Majestad Juan Carlos I, Rey de España, como Caballero de la Orden de Mérito Civil, grado encomienda. También la Orden al Mérito Melitinense de la Soberana Orden Militar de Malta, grado Gran Cruz de Gracia y de Devoción, y la de Ciudadano Distinguido del Ayuntamiento del Distrito de Santo Domingo, República Dominicana. En su vida pública ha ocupado posiciones como embajador plenipotenciario de la Soberana Orden Militar y Hospitalaria de San Juan de Jerusalén, de Rodas y de Malta ante el gobierno de la República Dominicana desde 2009 al 2014. Además, ha sido miembro de consejos de directores de distintas instituciones en los sectores público y privado. Entre ellas, la Cámara Americana de Comercio tuvo el honor de contar con su intelecto como presidente en el periodo 1990 a 1992. Llamamos a nuestro presidente de directores, Ramón Ortega, y a la embajadora que acompañan al señor Vitienes a la tarima para la entrega de una placa de reconocimiento. Y la placa dice, la Cámara Americana de Comercio de la República Dominicana otorga a José Vitienes Colubi El presente reconocimiento en gratitud por sus valiosos aportes al desarrollo de la organización, por su compromiso y dedicación en su gestión como presidente en el periodo 1990 a 1992, por habernos representado y conectado con la excelencia y nueva visión de futuro, entregado en Santo Domingo en noviembre de 2019.
Gracias por acompañarnos a celebrar nuestro tradicional almuerzo, donde damos gracias a Dios por todas las bendiciones de este año y también reconocemos cuáles han sido nuestros logros y cuáles fueron las lecciones que hemos aprendido. En nombre de la Cámara Americana de Comercio, quiero dar las gracias por la oportunidad que tuvimos de celebrar nuestro 96 aniversario. 96 aniversarios es una brecha bastante amplia y nos sentimos honrados de pertenecer a esta institución. Esta institución que promueve las inversiones y que mantiene un liderazgo y una reputación que la hace segunda de nadie. La Cámara Americana de Comercio ha estado asociada con la Embajada Americana, con el gobierno de los Estados Unidos y con las inversiones principalmente de índole americano que llegan a nuestro país, dándole facilitación y abogando por lo que nosotros llamamos la facilitación de las trabas que pueden incidir en que nuestro país mejore en el índice de competitividad global. En casi un siglo de fundación de la Cámara Americana, hemos sido testigos de los cambios que ha sufrido la República Dominicana. Nosotros éramos una economía cerrada, antigua, y hemos pasado a ser una economía abierta y globalizada. Ha sido una transición marcada por numerosas reformas económicas, políticas y sociales, hay que decirlo. La integración de nosotros a lo que se llamamos la cadena de valor y el crecimiento significativo en la inversión extranjera y el comercio bilateral ha estado unida muy especialmente a nuestro principal socio y aliado, que son los Estados Unidos. Este aniversario nos llama a reflexionar de cómo podemos seguir aportando al desarrollo y el crecimiento de la República Dominicana. Hemos asumido el reto de trabajar en conjunto con el sector público y con el sector privado. Y hemos visto que con la geopolítica y la globalización, muchas empresas multinacionales han estado tratando de tener muchas de sus funciones en países como el nuestro, que están cerca del mercado principal, que es el mercado americano. Nos hemos propuesto seguir abogando y seguir reclamando que la facilitación del comercio no impida que nosotros podamos aprovechar el ambiente global en aras de mejorar las condiciones de nuestro país y aumentar la producción nacional. También debemos agradecer que hemos mantenido una muy armoniosa relación con la Embajada de los Estados Unidos. Esto ha repercutido a que afiancemos nuestro tratado de libre comercio entre los Estados Unidos, Centroamérica y República Dominicana, y también que haya aumentado el intercambio comercial de nuestro país. En el año 2018, aproximadamente 14.000 millones de dólares fue que ascendió nuestro intercambio comercial. Y debemos ser agradecidos, y pensaba cuando estábamos en la mesa, lo primero que hay que dar gracias a Dios, el cual hicimos, y gracias al Padre que hizo una plegaria hermosa, pero también hay que agradecer la relación que hemos mantenido con la Embajada, y el tema de hoy y nuestra invitada yo creo que es una digna representante de lo que es el compromiso del gobierno de los Estados Unidos a través de ella, para que nosotros, para defender las mejores causas de la relación, y también, ¿por qué no decirlo?, reconocer que ha sido su intervención no solo en el plano local, sino en el plano internacional, a través de las nubes grises que se plantearon cuando llegó el tema de aquellas muertes misteriosas que por fin dejaron de ser misteriosas, pero que hubo una bandera que se enarboló y dijo: mi familia y nosotros no creemos esa información y estamos comprometidos con que hay una seguridad suficiente en la República Dominicana para que ese daño que se intentó hacer y que se hizo, porque hay que reconocerlo, no tenga mayor esfuerzo. Me refiero a nuestra embajadora Bernstein. Creo que ha demostrado un compromiso que se merece este aplauso. Y para reconocer lo que ha sido su trayectoria y su relación con nosotros, hemos preparado un pequeño video, el cual les invito a que veamos, por favor.
Hola, muy buenas tardes. Hello. Delighted to be with you all here today, sharing in this great Thanksgiving tradition. Thanksgiving is the time when families and friends come together, as we are here today, to give thanks for all that has blessed us over the past year. When I came before you last year, recently arrived, still settling into a position I had pursued for over a year and dreamt about far longer, I was just beginning to know this magnificent country and had only traveled beyond the capital a few times. Today, I come before you knowing and appreciating so much more about the Dominican Republic. In the past year, I have traveled the length and breadth of this nation, from Dajabon to Punta Cana, Las Terrenas to Bahía de las Águilas, Sosúa to Bani, and so many wonderful places in between. At every step along the way, each and every one of you and the Dominican people have welcomed me with open arms. And so I want to open this Thanksgiving address by saying thank you. Muchas gracias. Thank you for embracing me and my family, two of whom are here today, my husband Richard and my beautiful daughter Allie here from New Orleans. Thank you. And for helping us to learn about this fantastic country and its culture. I also want to thank our wonderful team of committed public servants at the embassy who support me and each and every one of you today. Fuerte aplauso, por favor. Where are you, embassy family? Janae, Catherine, Carolina, mi equipo. Gracias a todos. Thank you all. And if any of you need a little advice on your merengue two-step, let me know. I'm up to the task now. This year, 2019, also marks 135 years since the establishment of formal diplomatic relations between our two countries. I am grateful to continue this tradition, representing the United States and the Dominican Republic, strengthening our relationship, bringing us closer together, and working with you to achieve shared success. You all are critical to that shared success. As Franklin Roosevelt said in 1936, that, quote, "I will always believe in private enterprise as the backbone of well-being in the United States," end quote. I believe that holds equally true here in the Dominican Republic. You all are the backbone. You are the embodiment of what is possible. Last year at this time, I introduced my priorities to you and to the countries with an acronym I am sure you are all familiar with by now, SIDE, S-I-D-E, safety and security, investment and trade, disaster preparedness and response, and last but not least, education. Side by side, we have moved the ball forward in each of these priority areas. Safety and security is top of mind for both of our countries. This year, we helped build and train the financial analysis team that allowed the DR to qualify this year to rejoin the Egmont Group to combat money laundering, which will enable increased information sharing activities that will inform even greater efforts to combat illicit financing. That is an achievement 13 years in the making. U.S. law enforcement also supported Dominican law enforcement in numerous operations, including the DMP's largest ever joint investigation to break up a document fraud ring. The DR hosted its largest ever regional military joint exercise in June, Trade Winds, in cooperation with our Southern Command. Also, we funded a $2 million communication system to help Dominican security services better cooperate with each other. Lastly, we aren't just working on the hard security elements, just to name a few, but softer and equally critical ones, such as in health security. The Office of Global AIDS Coordinator increased our budget for fiscal year 2020 from $15 million to $25 million to combat the spread of HIV in the Dominican Republic, and that is significant. We also collaborated with the Ministry of Health to launch my favorite Vitamin Angels program for at-risk mothers and children to reduce preventable illnesses and reduce infant and mortality rates. On my first trip to visit you, the business community, told me that the most important thing to you was foreign direct investment, the heart of the I inside, and I listened. I am so proud of our economic and commercial team's work with many of you to identify potential partners for suppliers and services. In June, ANTAM DR participated in the U.S. Caribbean Business Conference in Miami, which attracted over 400 business people and investors from the U.S. in the Caribbean region. This year, also in cooperation with AmCham, my team will organize a Caribbean trade mission, bringing a large delegation of U.S. businesses and investors to the Dominican Republic to piggyback on the earlier one we had last year from Florida. As you communicated to me, also, that foreign direct investment was the heart of Inside, we made it a goal to bring OPIC, now the Development Finance Corporation, back to the Dominican Republic. And we did. Last month, we officially welcomed the first new OPIC projects in nearly 20 years. OPIC, in partnership with Citi, will back 2 local financial institutions as they expand their outreach and loans to micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. One of the greatest challenges faced by such businesses is access to credit. This collaboration between OPIC, Citi, and Bancos Adopem and Ademi will mobilize nearly $20 million to help entrepreneurs, women, and small business owners develop their business and realize their dreams. I am so very proud to see this first-in-a-generation OPIC-backed project relaunched. We know there's a pipeline of companies, a big pipeline of companies focused on larger public infrastructure and energy opportunity. Are you listening, Ministro? Waiting to bid on those opportunities through open, transparent tenders. We are anxiously awaiting more tenders and hence more projects launched in the coming year. On disaster preparedness and resilience, the D inside, we achieved numerous advances. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, collaborated with the Dominican government to launch underwater gliders that gather data from the oceans to improve hurricane forecast in the Caribbean Sea and the Atlantic. To focus on immediate responses to natural disaster, we were pleased to support the AmCham DR conference last April that organized Dominican and U.S. government, private sector, and academic experts to engage on new approaches and investments to build resilience to natural disasters. The private sector knows only too well there is a cost to not being prepared. And I am encouraged at the leadership role AmCham continues to display to improve this critical area. We also supported the Humanitarian Allied Forces exercise, FAHUM in Spanish, here in the DR. The exercise brought together humanitarian rescue units from 16 countries in the region for training that reinforced civil, military, emergency, and disaster response mechanisms. We all know that a disaster has no borders, and we must constantly be prepared. And as I often say, it is not if, but it is when a disaster will happen. It is just when. I'm talking a lot about investment today, and many of you in the room are aware what a critical investment education represents, or the E inside. We are investing in education in the DR. Just last week, we concluded the Florida DR Higher Education Summit to facilitate more exchanges and research between universities in our home state of Florida and the Dominican Republic. It was a resounding success. We have reached more than 400 schools with our literacy development project, LEER, or READ, and trained over 600 English language teaching specialists in 2019 alone. We've also invested a lot of human capital on our new initiative you have heard me speak about, SAFE, S-A-F-E. J.P. Morgan said, quote, "The first step towards getting somewhere is to decide that you are not going to stay where you are," end quote. SAFE came about when I met a young Dominican student athlete, Misael, in Otamayor, whose leg was amputated and his dreams shattered when he was given PEDs meant for a 1,000-pound horse. And I promised myself that day that I would do something about that. SAFE is an umbrella under which like-minded people and organizations who support a healthy and secure future for young Dominican student athletes can gather. We are collaborating with the major players, including the Dominican government, the Dominican Olympic Committee, the private sector, NGOs, the U.S. Embassy, and Major League Baseball to up their games and demonstrate their commitment to Dominican student athletes. I hope that all of you will also consider what you can do to better the lives of young Dominican student athletes. Porque no somos peloteros, pero no gusta la pelota. I told you my Spanish is better. So clearly, we are on your side. I'd like to take a moment and share with all of you a visual reflection of some of the highlights that we have accomplished over this past year since my arrival. Roll it. to continue that shared forward momentum on an area of mutual interest, I want to elaborate a bit more on investment, the heart of I Inside, and probably what you want me to talk about. I want to talk about the opportunities and challenges for foreign investment here in the DR. One of the first things that President Medina and I discussed upon my arrival was bringing more U.S. investment to the DR. FDI received in the DR was equivalent to 3% of the total annual GDP, compared to remittances, a figure equivalent to 7.5% of GDP. By contrast, Honduras, Uruguay, Costa Rica, and Panama all receive more FDI as a percentage of GDP, and each of those economies is smaller than that of the DR. In the case of Panama, FDI equals 10% of GDP. Over the past year, I have talked with many communities I have visited, working to gather more information. My experiences convince me that this country offers compelling business opportunities for the future. The investment climate is a key factor in how investors analyze the risk of coming to the DR versus other countries competing for those investment dollars. There are the intangible elements, such as infrastructure, electricity, and workforce. We know those need attention. It should not surprise anyone to note that the energy and infrastructure sectors in the DR have not always been the most transparent or internationally in competitive sectors. Foreign direct investment can directly address those tangible needs. There are challenges, but also opportunities. However, there are also intangible elements to the investment climate. The intangibles are things like openness, clarity, dependability. They are the foundation of democratic processes and a reflection of the national commitment to institutionality. We think of them as governance, but as more than that, because both the government and the private sector must be committed to those intangible values as well. As we travel throughout the country and receive U.S. visitors, we witness and hear stories of difficulties some investors have encountered here, however. U.S. companies have told us about cases where long-standing interpretation of a regulation suddenly changed without warning, threatening their investment with steep fines for noncompliance. Other companies have explained their experiences during which the government introduced new laws or regulations without consulting the affected business sectors, changing the circumstances under which they made their initial investment. Individual investors shared stories with us about millions of dollars they have spent to buy a home or property that they never received, and their attempts to recover their funds become mired in a legal system where decisions are swayed by political or economic influence. These cases form part of a concern about the investment climate here in the DR. Naturally, in the world of business, regulations change and disputes happen. I'm not suggesting that a healthy investment climate implies perfection. But when those things do or must happen, that is when the intangible nature of a strong investment climate versus an unpredictable one becomes most apparent. A strong investment climate means the response to a change or a challenge is understandable, even predictable. That in turn produces trust and confidence in the system. With them, an investor can evaluate the other risks presented by a project and reasonably determine the tolerance level for risk. Without openness, clarity, and dependability, investing then is simply gambling. An unpredictable investment climate is something that the Dominican Republic can address. The U.S. can help, and we are helping. Our commercial law development program is working with the Directorate of Public Contracting to advocate for improvements to the public procurement process. We have technical assistance teams from numerous U.S. agencies, including the Department of the Treasury, Commerce, and USAID, focused on developing the capacity of government officials at a number of Dominican agencies. However, those efforts fall short unless the will of the people to hold government accountable and the will of the government to serve its people sets standards and commits to upholding these standards. U.S. investments accounts for well over a quarter of all FDI in the Dominican Republic. That makes the U.S. a significant shareholder in the future success of the DR, second only to the Dominican people themselves. Most of you here today are business people, shareholders in your businesses and the businesses of others in the room. I know you understand when I say that shareholders do expect value. In this example, that means American investors and the Dominican people too, because true value only comes from having both strong, tangible, and intangible elements of the investment climate working together. The United States, and I'm proud of this, is the partner of choice for the Dominican Republic. The relationships we maintain across the political, economic, cultural, and family domains are unmatched. We have been here, and we will continue to be here, willing to invest if the Dominican Republic is willing to continue to commit to value in the form of an investment climate that is attractive to U.S. investors. The United States is ready. Are you? 2020 will be a great year of transition and promise. I hope that all of you, the private sector, the backbone, will continue to play an active role in this process, to engage with leaders and candidates and hold them accountable for producing the Dominican Republic that you truly want. When I was at Semana Dominicana in September, I witnessed firsthand the interest at the highest levels of U.S. government in partnering with the Dominican Republic. This is an opportunity to tap into and channel the resources and expertise of so many U.S. government agencies, the resources and expertise, the purpose of enabling an environment for private sector investment that is transparent, competitive, and in tune with international best practices. That in turn will lead to our continued increased, shared prosperity. May God bless the Dominican Republic, the American Chamber of Commerce, DR, and the United States of America. Happy Thanksgiving. Feliz Acción de Gracias. Estamos unidos. Gracias.
Another area that's important to our chamber is promoting a culture of innovation, that this aspect of digital transformation that's going on in the world is affecting industry after industry, some earlier, some later, but eventually it's gonna impact everyone. What do you see any opportunities for collaborations between Dominican Republic and either at the federal level or at the state level with academia for closer collaborations to promote a culture of innovation and digital transformation?
This is a very, very important question, and I really am happy that you posed that. Look, the digital transformation is the future. There's not one of us probably that doesn't have an Apple product in our homes. Digital transformation in the digital republic is very, very important. Several years ago, we sent a group of entrepreneurs to Silicon Valley. Next month in December, we're having a cyber a group in Jamaica. The U.S. is hosting that, and we are partnering with you to send some of your businesses and government representatives to find out what's the latest on innovation and cybersecurity, which, as I have said, is critically important to every country. A country should be in control of its cybersecurity. It's very important that you do that. Also, as I mentioned in my speech last month, we had over 10 Florida universities here, and I think almost 20 of Dominican universities partnering in the exchange of technology and student exchanges, STEM. We will be, and next year we're going to hopefully host one in the tri-state area of New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. Continue the digital, to help you and partner with you in digital transformation. But I do believe that education is the key, and it is the key to the future.
Very good. Look forward to working with you on that, especially with Florida. Another aspect to, I think, the success that the Dominican Republic's had in the last 50 years, it's been the fastest growing, I mean, not every year, but on average, over the past 50 years, the fastest growing economy in all of Latin America. And in large part, that had to do with not just the access to the U.S. market, but also the political, social stability and the macroeconomic stability. And we have elections coming up. We've seen around Latin America, we've seen what used to be, relative calm. We're seeing lots of turmoil. How do you view the elections coming up next year in the Dominican Republic? From a technical perspective, is the Junta Central ready? Is the U.S. government providing any technical assistance in that regard? And do you anticipate doing any monitoring of the elections?
Well, when asked, we're always happy to participate. Always happy to participate. We support many multilateral organizations such as the OAS, who has been asked to, come in and help with observing. We're always happy to support and technical assistance, whether it be election equipment or, whatever we can do to help. I believe the Dominican people know that they are happy under democracy. They have thrived under democracy and the democratic process. Look, democracy is often painful, as we see around the world, but it is democracy. But I truly believe that the Dominican people are the best stewards of their future, and the Dominican people know that democracy is ultimately the best thing that we have going.
I would agree wholeheartedly, and I would add that, not to wish ill on anyone else, but as with all the turmoil in the rest of the region, with lots of companies looking to move production closer to the United States, as long as we maintain that stability, political and macroeconomic, that's a tremendous opportunity for more investment coming into the Dominican Republic.
And also, as just an just to comment on that, look, you've had, I think it's been enlightened leadership, since the 2000s. You've had great stewards. You've had a great administration and administrations. So a compliment. They've maintained economic stability. They have done a lot to move this country forward. So just a big compliment to the stewards of this great democracy. Thank you.
With respect to our neighbor next door, Haiti, which is our #2 export market, as anyone who reads the papers knows, the situation over there is bad and getting worse. There's a lot of uncertainty. What can the private sectors in Dominican Republic and Haiti do to try to move forward with an agenda for constructive engagement? And what can be done at the international level? Because clearly the Haitians have not shown themselves able to take care of it themselves. Dominican Republic has always been helpful but is limited in its resources. What can we expect from the international community to address some of those issues?
That's another important question, because you know what happens in Haiti, one way or another, will affect what happens in this country. It's like having a big sister and a little. It's been an absolute win for the DR, and as well with the U.S. now, it accounts for 50% of the exports. I think it has been an absolute spectacular, as we like to say in baseball, home run for both of our countries. Are there areas that that are concerned? I think there's all, as we progress and as, times change and evolve, there are always areas that are going to be raised or concerned or need to be tweaked. I think that there's always things that can be relooked at or revisited, but right now I think it's working for your country, and I think it's been an absolute home run for the DR and both of our countries.
Another area that's important to our chamber is promoting a culture of innovation, that this aspect of digital transformation that's going on in the world is affecting industry after industry, some earlier, some later, but eventually it's going to impact everyone. What do you see any opportunities for collaborations between Dominican Republic and either at the federal level or at the state level with academia for closer collaborations to promote a culture of innovation and digital transformation?
This is a very, very important question, and I really am happy that you posed that. Look, the digital transformation is the future. There's not one of us probably that doesn't have an Apple product in our homes. Digital transformation in the digital republic is very, very important. Several years ago, we sent a group of entrepreneurs to Silicon Valley. Next month in December, we're having a group in Jamaica. The U.S. is hosting that, and we are partnering with you to send some of your businesses and government representatives to find out what's the latest on innovation and cybersecurity, which, as I have said, is critically important to every country. A country should be in control of its cybersecurity. It's very important that you do that. Also, as I mentioned in my speech last month, we had over 10 Florida universities here, and I think almost 20 of Dominican universities partnering in the exchange of technology and student exchanges, STEM. We will be, and next year we're going to hopefully host one in the tri-state area of New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. Continue the digital, to help you and partner with you in digital transformation. But I do believe that education is the key, and it is the key to the future.
Very good. Look forward to working with you on that, especially with Florida. Another aspect to, I think, the success that the Dominican Republic's had in the last 50 years, it's been the fastest growing, I mean, not every year, but on average, over the past 50 years, the fastest growing economy in all of Latin America. And in large part, that had to do with not just the access to the U.S. market, but also the political, social stability and the macroeconomic stability. And we have elections coming up. We've seen around Latin America, we've seen what used to be, relative calm. We're seeing lots of turmoil. How do you view the elections coming up next year in the Dominican Republic? From a technical perspective, is the Junta Central ready? Is the U.S. government providing any technical assistance in that regard? And do you anticipate doing any monitoring of the elections?
Well, when asked, we're always happy to participate. Always happy to participate. We support many multilateral organizations such as the OAS, who has been asked to, come in and help with observing. We're always happy to support and technical assistance, whether it be election equipment or, whatever we can do to help. I believe the Dominican people know that they are happy under democracy. They have thrived under democracy and the democratic process. Look, as we see around the world, but it is democracy. But I truly believe that the Dominican people are the best stewards of their future, and the Dominican people know that democracy is ultimately the best thing that we have going.
I would agree wholeheartedly, and I would add that, not to wish ill on anyone else, but as with all the turmoil in the rest of the region, with lots of companies looking to move production closer to the United States, as long as we maintain that stability, political and macroeconomic, that's a tremendous opportunity for more investment coming into the Dominican Republic.
And also, as just just to comment on that, look, you've had, I think it's been enlightened leadership, since the 2000s. You've had great stewards. You've had a great administration and administrations. So a compliment. They've maintained economic stability. They have done a lot to move this country forward. So just a big compliment to the stewards of this great democracy. Thank you.
With respect to our neighbor next door, Haiti, which is our #2 export market, as anyone who reads the papers knows, the situation over there is bad and getting worse. There's a lot of uncertainty. What can the private sectors in Dominican Republic and Haiti do to try to move forward with an agenda for constructive engagement? And what can be done at the international level? Because clearly the Haitians have not shown themselves able to take care of it themselves. Dominican Republic has always been helpful, but is limited in its resources. What can we expect from the international community to address some of those issues?
That's another important question, because what happens in Haiti, one way or another, will affect what happens in this country. I don't think this is necessarily about trade. As I have consistently stated, the DR is a sovereign nation. Trade is good, especially when it lifts up the economic prosperity of a country. That being said, I think this really is a conversation about values, who you really share. This is about doing business with countries where you share the same values, the value of democracy, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of the press, free trade, free, fair, and transparent trade. I think this is a values conversation and not necessarily a trade and investment one. So I think that, and as I have also constantly said, I believe that a country should be in charge of its strategic assets, whether it's your ports, whether it's your infrastructure, whether it's your cyber, especially your cyber. We saw in today's paper how many people were hacked in this country. I believe that cyber is important, and every sovereign country should be in charge of its own security, whether it's cyber security, whether it's economic security, or other types of security.
Okay, well, I gave you a few fastballs, a couple curveballs.
Give me an easy one, will you?
Here's a softball.
Bachata or merengue?
We'll give you a softball. No, you've been incredibly energetic and focused in your short time here, and you've gotten a lot of things done. How would you like to be remembered? What are the accomplishments you're most proud of in your tenure here?
I'm very proud of the fact that I believe that I've been able to be a bridge to strengthen the bilateral relationship. I believe and I hope that people will remember me as being a voice for the children, the most vulnerable, and certainly women, the women in the society. I hope that you will all remember me for just working, getting up to bat every single day. Yeah, I may have hit some bloopers or foul balls or curveball, or struck out, but I think we've had some real home runs for disaster preparedness, investment in trade, OPIC, my side priorities: safety and security, vitamin angels to drive down infant mortality rates, safe to protect young student athletes from being injected. That's human trafficking. In the fight against opioids and narco traffickers, we still got one big one out there, but we'll get them. We'll get them. So I hope that you remember me as someone that is committed, very committed to this country, and a true friend. I love all of you. Thank you so much.
Well, you've certainly left a mark, and it's not over yet. It's not over yet. So, everyone, un aplauso para nuestra oradora invitada, la embajadora de los Estados Unidos. Muchísimas gracias por su participación, and we look forward to working with you to keep this moving forward.
Muchas gracias a todos. Happy Thanksgiving. I am blessed to have all of you as my friends.